This is the weekly sales meeting for December 14th, 2025. My name is Chris Fleming. You can reach me at chris@cdmediaconsulting.com or go to our website at cdmediaconsulting.com. Today's topic is the selfish ear. One of the biggest challenges sellers face is getting business owners to listen. Not only hear, but actually listen. It may feel like you're talking, presenting, or even telling a great story, but your prospect isn't quite with you. Instead, they're filtering everything you say through one question. What does this mean for me? That is what it means to listen with a selfish ear. And while it can feel frustrating for sellers, it is not irrational. In fact, it is 100% human. Business owners, like all people, are driven by their own needs, fears, goals, and pressures. But unlike many others, business owners have more on the line. Their name is on the lease or the deed to the property. Their money is in the bank account. Their team's future depends on their choices. And that's why their default listening mode is self-protection. Mark Goulston is an author and psychiatrist. He is the author of Just Listen. In it, he observed, when people feel unsafe, they stop listening and start surviving. In the case of business owners, many listen with survival as the main intent. To understand this behavior, we need to look at how the brain processes new information. According to the field of neuroscience, the brain is in constant motion. It is filtering what is relevant from what is not. Dr. John Medina, a developmental molecular biologist, wrote the book Brain Rules. He says the brain's attention spotlight can focus on only one thing at a time, no multitasking. When a seller starts talking, the business owner's brain is doing triage. He or she is scanning for event triggers like, is this worth my time? Is this a threat? Is this helpful? Is this new? If the answers don't line up to one of those, they will tune out. That is why generic sales pitches fail. A seller may be excited to talk about features or benefits, but the owner is thinking, does this help me save money, make money, solve a problem I already know I have? If it doesn't, your presentation becomes background fodder. According to Salesforce's State of Sales report, 82% of buyers say we show up unprepared for meetings. That unpreparedness shows up as disconnected messaging. We are talking about the product, not the prospect. And that is a fast track to disengagement. Our laziness is inspired by our selfish nature. Listening with a selfish ear isn't always about money either. It's about pain and payoff. Business owners live with pain every day. They have staffing problems. They have rising costs. They have declining margins. And, like everyone, they deal with economic uncertainty. They are not listening to you talk about your product. In fact, the product is not the issue. What they are looking for is relief. If you speak to that pain, you earn their attention. If you ignore it, you lose their interest. This is why the best sellers lead with relevance, not with resumes. They talk about the buyer's world, not their own. This idea of self-interest in listening is also connected to what behavioral scientists call loss aversion. There have been decades of research and hundreds of studies on this subject. The consensus is that people feel the pain of losing something about twice as strongly as the pleasure of gaining it. In business, that means owners pay closer attention to potential risks than to potential rewards. As sellers, we will often use the phrase, we would like to help you grow your business. It is as if business growth is the be-all and end-all for all business owners. The vast majority have no interest in growth. They are, however, interested in protecting what they do have. And while this goes against what we've been taught for most of our adult lives, this phrase will land better than the expansion overture because it speaks directly to the thoughts the business owner is already having. For most owners, protecting what they already have feels more urgent than gaining more. Gaining more comes with more risks. The fear of losing what already exists is often stronger than the desire to gain what doesn't yet feel real. It's also important to understand the decision fatigue business owners face. A Columbia University study found that people faced with too many choices often default to doing nothing. Business owners are making dozens of decisions a day. Many of these carry financial or emotional weight. So when a seller approaches them, they're not only hearing a proposal, they are experiencing it as another decision to make, another risk to weigh. That is why owners often listen with caution. They are protecting their mental bandwidth. They don't want to be sold, they want to be helped. This is why framing matters. British marketer and advertising exec Rory Sutherland makes this argument. He says the value often lives in perception, not just in the product itself. The way you position an idea changes how it is understood and remembered. In a sales conversation, if you open with, "You've probably heard a dozen versions of this before," you sound self-aware instead of pushy. If you say, "You may not need this today, but it could be useful if business slows," you sound helpful instead of hungry. These phrases work because they lower the buyer's defenses. They acknowledge that the listener is filtering with self-interest, and that is okay. You are not fighting it, you are respecting it. Listening with a selfish ear doesn't make someone a bad listener. It makes them human. It reflects the reality of limited time, limited attention, and unlimited distractions. In fact, the selfish ear is a tool. It helps people stay focused on what matters most to them. Great sellers understand this. We don't fight the selfish ear, we learn to speak into it. We align the message with the buyer's priorities, not our own. So how do you do that? First, you must understand the business, not only the category, but the specific business. What are their current challenges? What market forces are impacting them and how? What have they tried before? Sellers who do their homework and bring insight get heard. According to Forrester, 74% of executive buyers give their business to this type of salesperson. Their business will go to one who can prove a clear understanding of the buyer's business and the buyer's needs. Second, speak their language. Business owners don't care about technical jargon or internal acronyms. They care about outcomes. We can use a phrase like increase efficiency. We could say lower costs or improve staff retention or drive repeat business. These aren't only buzzwords. They are the currency of their business world. When you speak in terms they care about, you bypass resistance. You create alignment. Third, time your message. Relevance without timing is often wasted effort. The Harvard Business Review reports that buyers are more likely to respond when we contact them at key inflection points. These well-timed points are after expansion, after a leadership change, or after a shift in the marketplace. A well-timed insight feels like a gift. An untimed pitch feels like an interruption. This means knowing your prospect and what is happening in their business. It means relevant content would be what is happening in their business sector, not ours. Fourth, ask better questions. One reason people listen with a selfish ear is that they are rarely asked meaningful questions. If you ask what keeps you up at night, it is cliche. But if you say, "I noticed your hiring has slowed in Q2, are you seeing shifts in demand or budget pressure?" That is a very different and pointed question. It is one that requires a specific and pointed answer. It shows that you are paying attention, and when people feel seen, heard, and understood, they will listen more. Finally, slow down. Many sellers rush to deliver value, but in doing so, they skip over the buyer's context. As the saying goes, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you slow down and listen first, you signal that the conversation is about them. That triggers trust, and trust gets you past the selfish filter. The selfish ear also has another side. Ego. Business owners are used to being in charge. They are the final decision makers. When we try too hard to teach, correct, or control the conversation, it threatens that authority. It is why the best sellers take a collaborative tone. They don't position themselves as smarter, they position themselves as helpful. As Dale Carnegie wrote in How to Win Friends and Influence People, let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. When a business owner feels like they're discovering the insight and not being told, it lands better. Some sellers mistake the selfish ear for disinterest, but often it is a test. The business owner is listening to see if we can pass their simple litmus test. The filtering qualifier is this: are you here to sell me something or to solve one of my problems? If they sense it as the former, they shut down. If it is the latter, they open up. This shift from presentation to problem solving is the heart of consultative selling, and it starts with respect for the buyer's perspective. Listening with a selfish ear is also shaped by past experiences. Many business owners have been burned. They have trusted sellers who overpromised. They have bought solutions that didn't deliver. And they've wasted time on meetings that led nowhere. So now they listen for red flags. They have seen them before, so they know what to look for and listen for. They listen for signs that this seller is like all the others. That is why credibility and clarity matter. Be specific, be honest, be brief. Those three traits go further than any fancy pitch or presentation deck. What does all this mean for outside sales organizations? It means the real competition is not other people in your space. The competition is the buyer's own filter. Their time is limited. Their trust is low. Their attention is guarded. Winning sales teams don't try to out-talk that filter. They work with it. They teach their sellers to think like owners, speak like advisors, and listen like partners. That is how you get past the selfish ear. It also means sales training must evolve. It is no longer enough to teach product knowledge. We need to understand buyer psychology. It is not only about handling objections after they arise, it is about preventing them altogether by making relevance unmistakable from the start. When buyers see that you understand their world and can help them reach their goals, resistance fades. As sales expert Jill Conrath puts it, if you want to capture someone's attention, you must show them you can help them get what they want. The selfish ear isn't the enemy. It is the opportunity. It is the challenge every seller must meet. Here is your framework. Can you make it about the buyer, not yourself? Can you earn their attention instead of assuming it? Can you lead with value before asking for time? Sellers who pass that test not only get heard, they get remembered. Because when the message feels relevant, the buyer tunes in. Not out of obligation, but because it speaks to their world. And that's when real conversations, real selling, and real buying begin. Every buyer is selfish. That is not a flaw. It is a form of survival. It is how they protect their time, their money, and their business. The best sellers don't fight that instinct. We will work with it. We know relevance earns attention and value earns trust. When you put the buyer's interests first, you don't have to push. They lean in because what you are saying now matters to them. The best sellers don't demand attention. We earn it. We create messages that matter, conversations that connect, and insights that stick. We don't ask buyers to work harder to understand. We make it effortless to be clear, focused, and useful. That is the difference. When what you say serves the listener, they don't only hear you, they engage. The next time you are in front of a business owner, don't take their guarded listening as rejection. Take it as a signal. The buyer's ear is selfish for a reason. It is trained to protect their time, energy, and business. It is not a wall. It is a filter. And if you speak with relevance, have tactical empathy, and a business purpose, you can break through more often. Business owners don't open up because you talk more. They will open up because you engage with them about their favorite subject, them. So earn their attention, and they will give you their trust, and you will earn their business. My new book, Double Your Revenue, is now available on Amazon.com. If you like what you have heard here today, please consider ordering a copy, or two. You can always send one to a friend. Go to cdmediaconsulting.com right now and follow the instructions to order.